Hi, I'm Yulia, and this is the News Brief. Today we're going to talk about the new round of peace talks, what Germany thinks about it, and how Russia is reacting to those peace talks. And then we're going to discuss it together in the comments so you don't have to suffer alone and I don't have to suffer alone. And of course, leave your questions, suggestions, constructive criticism, anything in your mind down below, because I read all of it, I appreciate all of it, and I love this back and forth communication. Let's go. So another round of negotiations is looming, while actually the only party in these negotiations that really has a grip on it is Germany. Germany flat out said, Russia's negotiations are bullshit. They're pledging more Patriot systems to Ukraine, more rounds of Gepard A, they're pledging more military support, and they're calling out the rest of the world and saying Ukraine does not need negotiations because Russia doesn't take them seriously. Ukraine needs weapons, and they're willing to deliver those weapons, they're willing to supply those weapons, they're willing to buy those weapons from other countries, and they want other countries to do the same, and we really thank Germany for that. Because, well, while peace negotiations are looming, Russia is, of course, not taking them seriously at all. Just the other night, 2 nights ago, we had, and again, I know you've heard me say this before, but the absolute worst Shahed attack on Kyiv that Kyiv has seen since the day the full-scale invasion began. And I mean that. Every time I say that, I mean that. It's because these attacks are getting more and more intense. Our air defense systems are getting more and more overwhelmed. And things are just getting worse and worse in terms of that. There were more than 10 impact sites. More than 10 impact sites. Think about what that means. That's horrendous. I personally spent from midnight to 6:30 in the morning in my underground garage that serves as a bomb shelter because, first of all, it's made out of concrete. Second of all, it's deep underground, or the most underground place in my apartment building. I spent 6.5 hours there with the rest of the residents of my building, and it was terrifying. Normally, I only hear drones flying and drones being taken down if I'm upstairs in my apartment, so here. But that time, from Sunday to Monday, I heard them in the underground. I would hear the sound of Shahed drone, boom, explosion, and they were so close because it turns out that they targeted a metro station. Well, there is a factory near that metro station that Russia thinks produces military equipment. However, that factory is ruined because Russia has quite literally shot at it and hit upwards of, I think, 10 times at this point, if not more. I pass by that factory every time on my way to work, and it is completely there are no windows, there is no sign. The factory looks abandoned. It looks like it hasn't been there for a while because it's so destroyed. Next to it is Lukyanevska metro station, and that metro station was hit by a Shahed drone. And so there was a lot of smoke that filled up the metro station where people were hiding. In fact, due to various Ukrainian news sources, there were 25,000 Ukrainians hiding in the subway system from the attacks on that day. And usually there are about 25,000 Ukrainians. The videos from that metro station are horrific. Imagine you're hiding from already a very, very, very terrible attack. And then the subway station fills up with smoke, and then walls start slightly, there are little parts of walls collapsing, right? Because a Shahed drone hit the metro station. I'm sure it was terrifying for the people inside. One of the reasons why subway stations are a very good shelter for attacks like this is because they have multiple entrances, so if one collapses, you can actually get people from the other one. And also because Ukrainian subway stations are very, very deep underground. In fact, Arsenalna subway station is, I think, second deepest in the world. So it's just cruel to do that. Another Shahed drone quite literally hit a building, but not the same way that we've seen it before. It hit the first floor of the building, actually flew into the first and second story of the building, and completely demolished an apartment. And then Ukrainian news sources reported that this apartment belongs to a model, and she is 9 months pregnant. Her mother was only able to survive this impact because she got to the shelter in time. And she commented in her own interview saying, last thing I thought I would be doing is walking around my apartment and figuring out if there is anything salvageable. Because her apartment is in the lowest story and it's actually courtyard facing, so the chances of a Shahed drone flying into her building or flying into her specific apartment were so slim, but it was that 1 in a million that did happen. I did see the apartment complex. Actually, I was offered an apartment in that apartment complex before I took this apartment because it was this one was falling through, but then at the end of the day it worked out. I did not like the apartment per se, but I was just like, okay, well, I have to live somewhere and this apartment isn't working out, so I might as well take that one. But then thankfully this one worked out because I liked it a lot more. But the apartment complex is called Lviv Quarter or Lviv Quarter, and I was like, oh, maybe it's destiny because I'm from Lviv. And I mean, I'm very happy, obviously, that I didn't move in here, but it's honestly a lottery. It's kind of like playing the slot machine in Ukraine. Sometimes, very rarely, you hit a jackpot and you can sleep through the night, but more often than not, it's a very bad combination of drones, cruise, and ballistic missiles. And you end up losing so many hours of sleep, and you end up sleeping in the shelter, and then your sleep schedule is screwed up for weeks to come or days to come because, hey, I mean, you spend the whole day running errands, doing work, doing your typical activities that you exert yourself on, and then you stay in the shelter till 6:30 in the morning. Kyiv air was filled with smoke the next day because there were so many fires, and actually that smoke is very detrimental to Ukrainians' health, or I mean generally to everyone's health, but to the health of the people that live here in Kyiv and anywhere else where these attacks are happening. And inhaling it is very dangerous, so everyone needs to close their windows, and people are not advised to go outside. But that smoke does not disappear until like 10, 11, noon, right? And people have to go to work, so people inadvertently have to go inhale that smoke. These attacks cause so much damage, more damage than you can imagine, because it's not just about the apartments, it's not just about human life, it's also about heating up the core of the planet, because there's so much explosives hitting the ground all the time. It meddles with flora and fauna, it meddles with our health because of the smoke. If you saw the photos and the videos of Kyiv that morning, it was completely on fire. It looked very similar to what LA looked like during LA fires, except these are man-made and these are Russia created, and these are tons of explosives and drones and weapons of mass destruction that Russia sends onto Ukraine. And then there are rounds of negotiations. What is there to negotiate? Yes, sure, Ukraine sends drones onto Russia's military production facilities, targeting specifically the factories that develop missiles and drones and other weapons of mass destruction that then end up flying into our homes when we sleep. Russia doesn't target military infrastructure. Russia terrorizes and tortures civilians. Russia kills mothers and fathers. Russia kills animals. You know how many pets suffered from shrapnel wounds or died during these attacks? Russia is a terrorist, and Russia is not willing or wanting to negotiate. They're just doing that to have political bluff and to save face and to show face and to pretend like they're interested in diplomacy when they absolutely are not. And that is what life for Ukrainians is like these days. Again, it's like trying your luck at the slots. Sometimes you get a full night of sleep. And sometimes you sit in your bedroom at about midnight playing a game on PlayStation, and then you hear, and that's a drone. And you hear them so close, I heard 4 of them so close, that it feels like they landed right near you. And then you find out that it actually wasn't that far away. It's a 5-minute drive from your house. And that's terror. That is absolute terror and horror. Sleeping in your car, sleeping on an air mattress, sleeping in a cold basement is not good for you. And it catches up to you. If you do this 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights, your body starts producing all kinds of stress responses. For instance, I started sleepwalking, which is something I have never done before. I sleepwalk, and apparently that's because of a stress response. It's a trauma response. And think about all of the invisible to the naked eye damage caused to Ukrainians because of these night attacks and because of these attacks on Ukraine in general. Imagine how much trauma people harbor. And when you think of trauma, it's not just mental health, right, per se, like as in you're scared and you have PTSD. It's also these manifestations that we don't think about. I sleepwalk. I sleepwalk and I don't remember it. I found my podcasting camera in my bed because I brought it there while I was sleepwalking. And I woke up terrified because I thought someone was in my apartment, but turns out I actually sleepwalk. And there are many, many other examples of that. My sleep schedule is ruined. I've developed an eating disorder, and all of these things come from trauma and stress response. And none of them are visible to you. And all of the people who live here develop some responses to stress, and none of them are good. Our lives have been shaken and twisted and turned so many times. It's ludicrous, and it's all because of Russia. So please, call your lawmakers, and instead of having them insist on peace negotiations, insist they provide Ukraine weapons so we can finish this once and for all. Thank you, and this is all I have for you for today. I hope you enjoyed this news brief, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on all of your notifications, as well as send this video to a friend, someone who might be interested, like it, and of course, leave me all of your thoughts down below in the comments. Thanks.